Hello everyone. Hope you all are happy and safe with your dear ones. Today we are very glad to have with us Mr. Akshay Agrawal, an IAS officer in our show The Quarantine Talks.
Mr. Agarwal is a 2014 mechanical gold medalist graduate from COE. He also holds a master's degree in economics from National University of Singapore. He was awarded the gold medal for best candidate in University of Singapore and also the director's gold medal at Lal Bahadur Shastri National Academy of Administration.
So we have some questions pitched in by viewers, by COEPians and by us. So we are eager to have answers for some of them.
Thank you so much for the introduction, first of all. And I'm very happy to be back to COEP, at least in the virtual form.
So, sir, what was your inspiration to get into civil services after graduating from mechanical engineering? And what do you define as the turning point of your preparation?
So, first of all, let me tell you that I was inspired to join the civil services ever since I was in my school. So my father showed me this dream of becoming an IAS officer. So it was sort of a childhood dream for me to do it. And I also started preparing for, not preparing, but at least getting conversant with the things with the syllabus, with the books that people read for this particular exam. Right in my second or third year of the college. So I started since then. But at that time, my motivation was not that, deep or not that big enough for me to, just leave everything aside and go for full-fledged preparation of civil service after I graduated from COE. So since I was indecisive in that sense, and that the exam is very uncertain, and the selection rate is very low, and you do not know anybody around you who got selected before you, so you don't have that reality check before you. So for that, I was very indecisive after my graduation from COEP. So after that, I decided that I should go for a master's, and I decided to take a master's in economics rather than engineering for several reasons. And it was then when I was in NUS, I was doing my master's, I witnessed and I met so many of Indian officers, like from several services, IRS, IPS, IAS, who had come to NUS for their mid-career trainings. I talked to them, and the kind of satisfaction I found on their faces in their lives, it really inspired me, and it sort of rekindled my hope again that I can do it. You asked me about the turning point of my preparation. So I would say that the turning point of my preparation was when in 2017, my friend from COEP, Vishwanjali Gaikwad, I don't know if you know her. So she was my batchmate from computer science, and she got selected in civil service examination in 2017. So, that was, as I told you, that there was no reality check before me. But now that I had a reality check that, somebody from my batch got selected with such a good rank. She got All India rank 11 at that time. And she's currently in foreign service. So that was kind of a shot in my arm that, I also want to do it, and let me give it a try. And then, that was the turning point when I decided to come back to India and just give it a try.
How do you keep yourself motivated in your busy life to regularly come up with your blogs, which are immensely helpful to many aspiring candidates?
Yeah, actually, see, first of all, let me confess before you that when I made that blog, I was not really a busy person. So I was as lay as anybody else because it was after results, and after results you don't get joining immediately after that. So you have a lot of free time. And what motivated me to do it is because one thing I was always when I was preparing, one thing that I always missed was that I did not have a proper source or a go-to thing where I can just go and see what to prepare, how to prepare, which books to read. So that was some dirt that I was feeling at that time. So I thought that now that I have got selected, and there would be many candidates aspiring to join the civil services who are from the rural areas, who cannot afford coaching, who cannot afford to go to Delhi and prepare. So I just thought that maybe I can give my bit. I can just give my 2 cents to them, and that is when I got motivated and I started writing my blog. And blog writing has always been one of my hobbies. So I used to write on other topics in another personal blog, which I have not made public as such. But blogging has always been my hobby, and I like writing. So so I just thought that I should just do it for the aspirants who are out there, who cannot afford to go to coaching, and who are out there in rural India, and who are as clueless as I was when I started my preparation. So that was just an effort to help these kind of people.
So your achievements in especially in academics are no doubt marvelous. So what is it that keeps you driven, and how can we incorporate certain values in our lives to achieve greater heights?
I would like to tell you two, three things here. So first of all, what keeps me driven? You told me. One thing is that I would tell you that I always try to strive for excellence, like in whatever, like wherever I go, and like wherever I go, I just try to ask myself, like, why am I here? Like, what is the primary goal? Like, am I sent here? Like, for example, when I go to COEP, so I knew that my primary job is to learn engineering. So at that time, it was not on my mind that I should prepare civil service, because most of the people, what they do is they just in engineering college, they do everything else but engineering. So so that is one thing that I always tell people, that wherever you go in your life, you try to be good at what you are supposed to do there. Like if you're in an engineering college, try to be good at engineering. I'm not saying you earn good grades, you earn gold medal or whatever, but you at least from your heart, you be honest and try to do whatever you're supposed to do at that point. And for that, you will automatically strive for excellence. So there was this movie when we were entering the college, Three Idiots. You must have also watched it. So it's a bit old movie now, but in that there is one line, famous line, that कि कामयाबी के पीछे मत भागो, काबिलियत के पीछे भागो. So that inspired me a lot, and I was like that. I made a mantra of I made that line a mantra of my life basically. So you always strive for excellence, you always strive for काबिलियत, and not the कामयाबी. कामयाबी झक मार के आपके पीछे आएगी. So that is one thing. Second thing, no doubt, how much do we say that you should not be so competitive, you should not fight for things, but I can tell you, competitive spirit, a healthy competitive spirit should always be there within you. Because see, we live in a competitive world, especially in a country like India, where I don't know if you know, but the civil service exam itself, around 5 lakh people, they apply for this exam, and IAS seats are just 200, 180 to 200. So that the selection rate is just 0.2, 0.3% here. So basically, if you don't have a competitive spirit in your life, even in COEP, you will experience when you go to your final years for placements. So when the companies come, they offer you placement, they give you good packages. So there's a lot of competition there. And at such points, you cannot just say that you should not have competitive spirit and all that. I say that you should have healthy competition. So that competitive spirit should always be there in you. Third thing that you asked me about, the values that should drive any individual in life, is that I would say that there should be a little bit of common sense, a little bit of empathy, and a little bit of patience and faith in your own abilities. Also, my mother always tells me one thing, that whenever you are looking up for amenities that you have, or the facilities that are there at your disposals, you should always compare yourself with somebody who is below you. But when you are looking for what you can do, what you can achieve, what you can gain, you should always look for somebody above you, so that you don't get complacent, and you always have that fire within you that keeps you going always. So I guess that is what everybody should keep in mind.
Gold medal at COP, gold medal at National University of Singapore, and a gold medal at Lal Bahadur Shastri National Academy of Administration. What is the difference in all these, and which is the closest to your heart?
One thing is, like, all have like a special place in my heart, all three of them, because they are through different struggles. And the difference between these three, like to speak technically, gold medal at COEP was purely for my academic excellence, as the the title of the gold medal itself says, that gold medal is given to the candidate who has excelled in academics in that particular year of the college. About gold medal at NUS, so that was for the best candidate of the course. So best candidate not just involves the academic gradings, but also many other things, like your extracurricular, your participation, like how many research papers you write, and how do you interact with people around you, and like there are so many other factors as well. So that has a different, like technically, that's the difference between these two. And of course, at Lal Bahadur Shastri National Academy of Administration, it is an altogether different thing, because here it's like, they award you for many different, excellence that you do in your training at the academy. So there are some technical differences. Each one of them holds a special position in my heart. But one that is closest to my heart is, of course, a gold medal from COEP. There are several reasons for that. One reason is that was the longest battle that I fought to, achieve that. So, the thing that you get after very long battle, and, you succeed and you get it. So that remains very close to your heart. Second reason was that, you won't believe, but till the third year of my college, I did not know that there is such a gold medal in COEP. I did not know that I was just studying, I was just excelling. And at the end of third year, like one of the professors, Professor Khond, he is in mechanical department. He mentioned to me about this gold medal, that there is a departmental gold medal and institute gold medal that is there for people who do well in academics in COEP. So, that was a sort of unexpected gold medal for me, unexpected reward for my hard work. So whenever something that, you don't expect anything, but you get it at the end of it for the hard work that you have put in. So, that is always something very valuable for you. So yeah, I think I would always rank COEP gold medal as first amongst all the three that I've got.
What is your favorite COEP memories and experience that you cherish?
See, one thing I would tell you, that I cherish the entire 4 years of my, COEP, and I tell this to so many of youngsters these days, that, the college days are the best days in your life. And that to the undergraduate days. It's not that when you go for a master's, the life is completely different. And that too, I would tell you that now I guess you are in the second year of your college. So basically, if you see, college first year and second year are the most memorable, because what happens is, like in third year, like this is my very personal opinion, but like what I observed during my time, you must observe the same thing maybe. What happens is, like in third year, you start segregating in groups. Second thing that starts happening in third year is that you start, getting anxious about your future. Like, I want to get a good placement, so I should join this class. I should, some people start joining GATE, some people start preparing for UPSC, some people start preparing for CAT, MBA exams, so many different things. So in third year, life completely changes in college. So first 2 years are the most memorable. So most of the memories that I cherish today, like sitting when I introspect, I think about the COEP days, they mostly come from my first and second year. First year, because you are just new to the place, and I also come, I'm not from Pune, so the city is new, the place is new, there are people from so many places. So I still cherish the first few days of my college when it was raining very heavily, and I just arrived COEP, I met new friends, and I was a bit late joining the college, so I borrowed some books from my friends, and I was always a very sincere kind of student. Second thing is, of course, hanging out with friends on JM Road. And my group was the one in which we used to love exploring food around in and around Pune. So like every Sunday, that in mess we have feast, and in the evening you go for exploring restaurants around the city. So that was one thing that we used to have bikes, and then we used to go around the city to the far away places, eat there, come back. So once we also went to like around 30-40 kilometers away from Pune. We got late, and then that guard was not opening the door, and all those fights and everything. So like you do so many jugaad to get into the you get into the hostel back. There's so many things. Then another thing, like in I block especially. So if you know that I block is a second year block, my room always used to be full of at least 10 people. So we like it's a room for 4 people, meant for 4 people, but it used to be always filled with like 10 people, and all kinds of shenanigans that we do in the room, watching movies, teasing each other, fighting, and there are so many things, and then of course, like as I told you, that I was kind of sincere student, so I had that image amongst my batchmates and classmates. So during exams, they used to come to my room and just sit there, ask me to, they used to bring the textbook and ask me like, what is there in the syllabus, just take it and what all to study, and also asking me doubts, making sheets together, and like there are so many things. Like I cherish each and everything. just shuttling between the boat club and the mechanical drawing hall, going to the classes, running from this side of the campus to that side for a simple Xerox, a simple sheet to buy. Yeah, all those things, all the struggle, everything, the fun and memory that we had, talking, like incessant talking and roaming around and everything, literally. So there's so many things that I cherish about COEP.
So what message would you like to give UPSC and CSC aspirants?
One must keep in mind that civil service examination is a competitive examination. Competitive examination basically means that it doesn't matter how much marks you get, but it matters like where you stand in the competition. For that, you need to be very, very, very competitive, and you must leave no stone unturned in your preparation. This is one thing. Second thing is, especially for CSE aspirants, what happens is, like, if you look at the syllabus, if you look at the resources, so it seems infinite amount of things around you. So it becomes very difficult to choose, resources, to find a golden mean between how much to study and how deep to study. So there are two things, like you can study one book 10 times and you can study 10 books one time. So basically you need to just find out that golden mean as to, like, out of these 10 books, how many books I should read and how deep I should read, like how deep I should go. Because what happens is there should be a fair balance between this competition and the depth of study that you're doing. So this is one thing that I would tell you, that try to find that golden balance and don't go after the market, because in market you will see, and with the advent of this Telegram messaging and everything and WhatsApp groups, you get so much of materials, you get bombarded with infinite amount of things. So don't get bogged down by that. You follow the topper strategy, follow my blog, and just see what they have done, how to write answers, how to analyze things, and just get a good amount of idea as to how to crack this exam. Because after all, this is just an exam. This is not something that is I would say that this is not an achievement. This is just that we have passed an exam, we have cracked an exam, and look at it only as an exam, not as your life or anything. Because there are different ways to crack different exams. There is a way to crack this exam. Once you identify that way, you can surely go through it. And then there are other things that that I've already told you, that you should have a little bit of common sense, a little bit of faith in your ability, and a little bit of patience as well.
So your score in essay preparation was quite high. So what approach did you made while preparing for essay?
There are 2-3 things about essay that one needs to keep in mind. So for me, as you know, I don't know, like I prepared for very short time for this examination. I could clear it in my first attempt. And I did not really have much time to prepare for my essay. But there are certain points that I always kept in my mind. First of all, for essay, you need to have a very good introduction and a very good conclusion. Like, if any topic is given to you, how do you start an essay and how do you conclude that essay? It matters a lot, because because at the end of it, like, when whoever checks your essay, whoever corrects it, the impact should, like, how that person started the topic and how he ended the topic. So that is very important. It should leave a mark on his mind so that you get a good score. So that is one point that you should always keep in mind, that how are you going to start the essay and how are you going to conclude the essay. Second thing is that you should, this is very commonly said and it has become an old wives' tale now, that that you should cover as many dimensions as possible in your essay. Try to look up, try to show that you're looking from all sides of the things, and you are a person who is not biased, who is not prejudiced, and you are trying to appreciate at least the other point of view as well. So that is one thing that is important. Third thing is that effective expression is very much important. Like, for example, what you can tell in 2 lines, you should not speak in 4 lines. So in essay, that is also very much important. Effective expression, use of proper vocabulary, it helps. Believe me, I'm not telling that you should have a very good English language. You should be using the Shakespearean English or whatever, but you should have a good and proper vocabulary. Use of effective vocabulary, it helps a lot in your essays. So, and try to read. So what I did was, I could not write as many essays. I could just write 1 or 2 before the exam, because as I told you, I did not have much of time. But try to read essays of toppers, like like who have written essays, like which are available online. Even on my blog, I have put some of the sample essays that I liked of the toppers of like so many previous years. So you can just look up how do they write, how they start, and how to change from one paragraph to another. So this is a skill that you need to develop over time, and that can be done, I guess.
So, what changes would you like to see in the current civil services hierarchy of our country? And three things that you love and three things that you don't like about the civil services.
I'm just a fresh civil servant. I'm just in training. So whatever I speak, I may not hold the same position after say 3 years, 4 years, because it's experience changes a lot of your opinions when you go out in field. But what I can see as a bystander now, like I still call myself as a bystander because like I'm not really entered the thick of things. Like I'm not really entered the thick of bureaucracy or civil services. First of, but one thing that I have realized in the 9 months of training path is that hierarchy is not a bad thing per se. So we have always considered hierarchy to be a pejorative. We have given it negative connotations. But being in the training, I have realized that hierarchy is needed for so many reasons. Like one is the uniformity of command. If there is no hierarchy, you will not have you will be like directionless. You don't know who to listen to, because as you know, India is such a complex country. There are so many players, so many stakeholders. So without hierarchy, you will not know which person to follow to, which person to give instruction to, and how to do work, right? So there should be a unity of command, and hierarchy gives a very beautiful unity of command. So that is one thing. Second thing is that many times in the government setup, you see that without hierarchy, your work will not be done. जब तक ऊपर से डंडा नहीं पड़ता है, तब तक काम नहीं होता है. So basically for that also you need a hierarchy. But of course there are certain things that I feel that should be changed. One thing is that hierarchy should not be regimented. It should not be taken personally. Like for example, what happens is like sometimes you don't know, like when you go out in the field, you don't know many people. So you never know whether this person is junior to you, subordinate to you, senior to you, 1 year senior, 5 year senior. You never know, because if people come from like all kind of age groups, many times if you don't call them sir or ma'am, people take it very personally and they get offended. So I think this is a bad thing, because what happens is most of the times your mind gets busy in just thinking about that, whether you should call this person sir or ma'am or not, right? So this regimentation of hierarchy is a bad thing, and I think it should slowly just go away. Just people should have open minds about all these things, and we should just aim for higher things, like like what hierarchy can give us, like instead of just fulfilling one's own egoistic needs. That is one thing. We are living in 21st century world, and here we can't be just left behind, because still we follow this, like there are so many aspects in our bureaucracy, in our administration, that still smack of the colonial era, right? So we just need to move away from that. We need to pay more attention to merit to merit, to qualifications, to experiences, to qualifications, to abilities of people, rather than just how many years of service that they have put in. And I'm very happy that the government has started doing it already. Like we have started moving in that direction. So I would not say that I hate anything, because being in civil service, I can't say that I hate something about it. But there are certainly things that I would like to see changing. So my answer to both the questions, what I love, what I hate, would be the same, surprisingly. First thing that I would like to say is the culture in civil service. I love the culture, I hate the culture. Reason being why I love the culture, because as I told you that civil service is extremely organized institution in our country. So the culture there is that it's organized, it's process driven. There is a huge process efficiency in our country. We try to maintain justice, fairness in our system, in our process, so that like even the last person in the queue will get justice. So that is what bureaucracy aims to do through its culture. That is the culture of bureaucracy. But again, I tell you that I sort of, I don't hate, but like I see the culture changing, because as I told you that it is mostly process efficient, but most of the time it is not outcome efficient. So I want to see that this process or this entire culture of bureaucracy should also move towards having outcome efficiency, as to not just pay attention towards the process, whether you're following the process or not, that is also important, but also you need to focus more on outcomes, like what outcomes are you getting out of whatever actions you're doing. So that is one thing that I need to see changing. Second thing is that I love people, and third, and I would like to say I see people change. Why do I love people in bureaucracy? One reason is that civil services bureaucracy picks people from all sorts of background. If you go to like any good private sector company like McKinsey or A.T. Kearney or Boston Consultancy Group, you see that like most of the people come there from big colleges like IITs, IIMs, or London Business School and all this. So there's no diversity of background. It doesn't give a level playing field for everyone. But in civil services, the recruitment process itself gives a level playing field, because we have reservations there. So people who come from a poor socioeconomic background, they get a chance to have a presentation, to have a representation there, to have a level playing field, so that they get recruited there. So one thing that I love is that you get people from all sorts of background, from all like socioeconomic background, educational background, cultural background, from all over the country. You will have people in there who have like different opinions. So it creates a very good melting pot of culture and of ideas and opinions. One more thing is that you see that recruitment process, like this is the only recruitment process in India, or for that matter in the entire world, which is highly democratic, or which is fully democratic. Like everybody has an equal chance, whether you are son of an IPS officer, whether you're son of an IS officer, or whether you're son of a farmer, or whether you are son of a laborer in an industry. It doesn't matter. Everybody gets an equal chance, equal footing to present yourself and to get recruited in this service. So that is the beauty of the group of people that is there in this field. Third thing I would like to tell you is that there is a lot of checks and balances in bureaucracy. So it's not that you take decisions arbitrarily, you hire and fire people arbitrarily, or you just go out and doing things without any rules. Because there are a lot of checks and balances. That any decisions, it has like the biggest one is the citizens scrutiny these days. As you see, there are social media, so people are watching you, citizens are watching you. Of course, there are institutions like CAG, CVC, CBI, so many things like court, Supreme Court, everything. So everybody is watching you. There are a lot of checks and balances. So you just can't go out and act arbitrarily, and you can't just serve yourself. So that is a beauty of being in civil services. But again, as I told you, the same thing I would like to see changing, because most of the times what happens is, because of these checks and balances, you are not able to be decisive in your decisions, because you're always scared of, you're always afraid of making some decision, making some innovation, showing some entrepreneurial spirit in your decision making, and which may go wrong, and then you are always afraid of scrutiny and all sorts of disciplinary actions that you may face. So I think there should be some relaxation here and there, and government should encourage people to have that entrepreneurial spirit, and not be afraid of checks and balances there, because after all, checks and balances are for the welfare of the people, and if somebody is doing something in good faith, I think it should not be punished.
Sir, how is the life at Lal Bahadur Shastri National Academy of Administration, and how is the culture there?
Okay, so see, Lal Bahadur Shastri Academy, first of all, I would like to tell you that it's a very, very beautiful place. It's in the Himalayas, nestled in the Himalayas, and there are beautiful mountains, snow-clad mountains, and the academy itself is very beautiful. So whenever you have this kind of campus around you, it obviously evokes a lot of emotions, like friendship, relationships, romance, dancing, partying, and like there are so many things that you would like to see. So life at Labasna is definitely very happening. But I must tell you that it might be a cultural shock for so many people, because you get to meet literally people from Kanyakumari to Kashmir, and from Gujarat to Dibrugarh. So there are like people coming from every nooks and corner of the country. So the thing is, what happens is, in this kind of environment, there are not many people who are used to different cultures, or meeting the different kinds of people. So it takes a little bit of time to adapt to the new surroundings, to the new people, to the new setup. Otherwise, life here is like, it's full of fun, especially the foundation course. You have so much of activities like sports, cultural, dance, drama, cooking. Like there are so many things along with academics, of course. So life at academy is busy, but of course full of fun. And culture in academy, it's like quite cosmopolitan, because there are people coming from like so many different parts of country, so many backgrounds. Somebody is like very rich, somebody comes from a very poor family, somebody is some, like there are different passions, different ambitions that different people hold. So culture here is like quite cosmopolitan. There are plenty opportunity for you to develop your own skills, and you also get a lot of reality check as to what you lack. And sometimes what happens is like, you have topped this exam, you have become IAS, so sort of you tend to become complacent. But after coming here, when you meet people, you realize that that you are not the cat's whiskers, and there are so many other people who are like much more qualified than you. They know a lot of more things, so it becomes a bit of competitive spirit also. And you start learning more, and it's an eye opener in many senses, and you get to know about yourself, about people, about how the country runs, how people behave, and what are their opinions. So it's quite cosmopolitan culture, and life here is really fun. And I'm sure this kind of life we won't get any time after once we leave this academy.
So, on behalf of Mindspark, thank you so much for taking out time and answering our questions. So, sir, would you like to share a small message as we conclude our talk?
Listen to your parents, work hard, and always have that competitive spirit within you, as I always tell, because we live in a competitive world, and you should have that fire always kindling within you, and that is very important. And once you identify it, and it's just a matter of time that you fly to higher heights in your life.
Thank you so much, sir. Well, this
Thank
brings
you.
us to end of the talk. Hope we bring more such talks and keep you motivated during this lockdown. Stay happy.